You have heard or read there's a group of publications that appeared in the Bee, and there's a book of them that have been compiled together, and you can buy them at Borders and things like that. They're called Chicken Soup for the Soul. Sounds like everybody's read one of those, twice of those before. All right. Well, back in 1993, there was a story called The Chain of Love, which appeared in the book. And many of you guys may recognize that from a country song that was sung about 1999 or 2000 from a country singer. And later, it was, a pop singer picked it up, but it never made the charts in comparison to what it was for the country singer. And so this is a story, and I'll talk about the country song a little bit, and then I'll talk about a very famous and prominent person who is well known, a businessman, was well known, was on the top Forbes 500 list for many, many years. And then I'll sort of tell you my own little story and how the chain of love can come around and bite you. The Chain of Love is a story about helping people. It's a story about a woman who was driving down the road and receives a flat tire on her car. And a guy who happens to be driving home from a long day at work stops and changes the tire for her. She drives on down the hill to a cafe. And in the cafe, the person who just had her tire changed for her on the car so she could drive down the road, was in a cafe and happened to notice a woman who was pregnant. That woman served her meal, and when she left a very large tip on the table and told everyone, or left a note that said, "Pass the love on to the next person. It's considered the chain of love." And she left before the waitress could come back to the table. That night, she happened to crawl in bed next to her husband. And as she crawled into bed, it was the same person who changed the tire on the road, but she crawled into bed and she told him, "Don't worry, we are okay." That is the story of the chain of love. Who here has heard of the company Walmart? Everybody. Back when Walmart was still in its infancy, Sam Walmart happened to be at a gas station, and he was filling up his car. And there was a bunch of college students who came into the gas station. And they had spent that weekend out partying. During that weekend, they had underestimated their transportation costs, gasoline, back to their college town. A lot of them were facing finals the next day, and they were trying to bum together enough money to fill the car and fill their gas tank. Sam Walmart, who was relatively unknown at the time, happened to pony up a few dollars that got him back to town. Didn't think much about it, crawled in the car, drove down the road, never expecting anything back. About 5 years later, Walmart is facing bankruptcy. There happens to be a photo in the local paper outside of Arkansas showing a picture of Sam Walmart. One of the people who happened to read the article recognized him in that photo. This person had graduated from college and had gone on to work for a company called Berkshire Hathaway. And with that, he was able to convince some higher powers to be that this company was worth a look and a chance. And so with $1 million cash infusion in 1964, Walmart was able to develop into the powerhouse that it is today. Now, some of you in this room may know who Malcolm Anderson is. He works here for the IRS. He's very involved with high school basketball. I've known Malcolm for probably 10 years now. My story of the chain of love occurred prior to knowing Malcolm, but Malcolm and I have traversed the basketball courts for many years together. About 10 years ago, I went to a Super Bowl party. And while at the Super Bowl party, there was an older gentleman that was at the party. And his son, for whatever reason, had to leave the party. And so I volunteered to take him back to his hotel or wherever he was. And so when the time came, we crawled into the car. And there happened to be a bunch of referee jerseys hanging from the back of my car. Because, like Malcolm, I referee high school and college basketball. And he happened to ask the question, "You referee?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I do. I just do some little high school stuff, and I just something I enjoy. I enjoy the challenge of managing the people." And so we had a full conversation about this. So I drop him off at his son's house, go on down the road, don't think anything more of the conversation. About 3 months later, I get a phone call. "Jason, this is Bob Reichert." "Who?" "Bob Reichert." "I don't understand. Who? Where did I meet you?" "I met you at the Super Bowl party and you drove me home." "Oh, yes. How you doing, sir?" "What can I do for you?" Thinking he left something in my car. He told me, "You referee." "Yes." I'm confused by our conversation, and we kept going round and round in circles in this. Finally, he said to me, "I'm the supervisor of officials for the NFL. If you want to work college basketball, I'll get you in." And so within 2 years, I was working a Division II schedule. And that is my story of the chain of love.